other things.
Weird.
You know, someone said that frickin' Panera's Pepsi's taste funny.
Better.
No, I mean,
What?
Or like, I'll put my own video on. I'll just put it on mute, the background.
Right? I think it's shit. I think I have your audio. Yes, they can hear you. Welcome, everybody, to the Average Intelligence Podcast.
Hola. ¿Cómo
I think
está?
it's shit. I think I have your Yes. Oh, what the shit? Okay. So I was worried. I was concerned about you not being loud enough, but you are sufficiently loud. So.
If you need, I have gain on my microphone that I can turn up or
No,
down
no.
if you can't hear me.
No, I can hear you. Just for some reason, it sounded like I couldn't. But no, you're good. You're good. So, like I said, welcome everybody to the Average Intelligence Podcast.
I'm doing somebody's chores today.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by our friends at Stevie Wicks and literally by the Spur of the Moment Podcast, because without the Spur of the Moment Podcast, we would not be here tonight, at least not in this form. You would probably get another, which I say was a bad video. It was our best performing episode for a long time, where I talked about the All Quiet on the Western Front remake for almost 2 hours, and people seemed to like it. And I was worried the whole time, because I'm like, this is going to be so boring, but I can't think of anything else.
I mean, there's always an audience for something.
This movie proves that.
I will say, like on my channel, my second highest performing video is a video about Mr. Rogers, and that is gratifying that it's no longer the evil killer clown. I meant to tell Jordan that because that'll make him happy, but that just shows where my content is at.
Oh, by the way, I fully expect to see Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence in the chat tonight. If you guys don't show up, I will be very disappointed, and I will find you, and I will crane kick you in the face.
Those guys are friends now.
Yeah, I know, but they still argue. They still argue in the chat.
It's true. It's true.
And then also you saw the second video of the intro. Please go and support our friends at Again and Forever. They're trying to make the big time Rolling Stone concert performance. All you got to do is go and vote for them for free once a day. And you get to be part of changing the music industry as we know it and getting us money.
Takes you like 10 seconds a day, not even. I mean, I've voted a bunch of times at this point.
And you can pay to buy more votes. And it does go to a good cause. I looked up the charity and I'm like, okay, this is pretty solid. And
it goes to charity. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's going to be in New York, so ties in with the movie, kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
I mean, it's really easy to tie in New York because it's New York. But
Virus could find his own nondescript white. I mean, I guess he sort of already has those. As I was saying that out loud.
Nondescript white saviors, yes.
Yeah. I think he already has those in Spain.
Yeah, he's got quite a few.
Love you, Virus.
But yes, we're here to talk about Karate Kid Legends, which I saw just a couple days ago. We talked about it last night on Toon Talk, but that was more of a Karate Kid franchise retrospective, and this is going to be more of a deep dive into Karate Kid Legends. But we're obviously going to touch on the Kung Fu Kid because actually now
you have to.
Well, but now, and which is one of the things I like about this movie, now that movie actually makes sense in the franchise because now Mr. Han is officially part of the Karate Kid universe at large.
So Okay. Number
Well,
one, I was hanging out with you guys in Two Talk. I did drop out before you got to Karate Kid Legends, so I don't know what you think of this movie. Um, I don't. I did do a review of this on my show. Um, you've seen Karate Kid 3, right? Okay,
I
good,
have.
because I have questions for because I've never seen Karate Kid 2 or 3. I've never seen them.
Ooh, okay. Karate Kid, just so you know, Karate Kid 2 is enjoyable. I'm not going to say it's good. I mean, it's good, but it's not like, which, I mean, to be fair, we're talking about Karate Kid. None of it is what you would call, like, great cinema. Like,
I
Citizen Kane
mean,
is not lurking in the shadows of the Karate Kid franchise. But,
fair
um,
enough.
Karate Kid 2 is good in the sense that, like, it takes what they give you in Karate Kid Part 1 and builds and escalates on it. But I did say, I don't know if you caught this on Toon Talk,
I did, yeah.
when I first saw Karate Kid Part 3, I absolutely hated it. As I've gotten
Interesting.
older, well, and same with Back to the Future Part 3, I never hated it, but it was certainly like,
Okay, Back to the Future Part 3, I get. That I get.
well,
Because it's the cowboy one.
as the same, as I get older, I appreciate both Back to the Future and Karate Kid Part 3 more. And
Interesting.
I said, and this will make sense if and when you watch them, I think it should have been Karate Kid 1, then the story from 3 should have been part 2, and then Karate Kid 2 should have been the third, and that would have been a
I can totally
better.
say that.
It's a better escalation because Karate Kid Part 2, and I think this is why a lot of people don't like Karate Kid Part 3, because Karate Kid Part 2 raises the stakes like a lot. And then it kind
Yeah.
of comes back down, and they try to make you feel like the stakes are higher, but they're not. Because
So,
like
okay.
the worst thing that's going to happen to Daniel is he's going to get hurt. The worst thing that will happen to Daniel multiple times in Karate Kid Part 2 is he might get killed,
Uh,
legitimately.
so
So,
this story goes into so the background of me going into the Karate Kid
Mamas.
Legends is I power watched 5 seasons and 2 episodes of season 6 of Cobra Kai. So like I'm going to this fresh off of like 20, 30 episodes of Cobra Kai. Um, and as I watched Cobra Kai, I realized I had never seen Karate Kid Part 2 and 3, but they do such a great job with those characters on that show.
Well,
Um,
it's what we talk every time we get together. It's what we talk about where you can't give your audience homework and expect them to
no,
do it. So
no, that show
if you're gonna
thoroughly
reference something,
explains.
yes.
It absolutely does. It thoroughly explains every relationship, every character, the impact that they had. I called it in my review of it. I said it's the most narratively satisfying show I have ever watched because you know they're gonna kick the board or Dimitri's gonna spin kick the guy into the case, but it's really satisfying when it happens because it really earns those moments.
Yeah, it's
And
almost
yeah,
like
like
they write character arcs and you know
that pay off in meaningful and interesting ways. Yeah. And so like having not seen Karate Kid 2 and 3, it makes me want to go back and watch those movies because I fucking love Chosen. I love Terry Silver. I think he's a fantastic villain. So I want to go back and see
yeah,
the origins.
okay,
Like it does
okay.
motivate me to watch that.
Okay, as your friend who knows what you like, you are going to positively adore Karate Kid Part 3
Of
because
course I will.
it is cheesier than a Wisconsin cheese factory. Like it
Oh,
is.
oh, good. I'm
I
looking forward
shit
to
you
it.
not, and this is not a spoiler because you will still laugh. You are your first shot of Terry Silver. Okay, is he's in a bubble bath with a rotary phone,
Yes.
literally telling someone, just dump the toxic waste into the river. Save money. Yes, he cackles.
That's amazing. My thing with Cobra Kai is it does that thing that requels do, where it brings back a character that the show thinks you know, and you're like, who is this character? But it does the intro where like so like when he eventually goes to Okinawa and he runs into the love interest from the second movie. So when you
Give a
and Virus
flashback.
got
Yep.
into your debate about the girl from the third movie, um, I thought she was the love interest
She's
because the way
absolutely
she's
not.
that's so fascinating because the way she's framed in the show when she's introduced is that she's the love interest of that movie. That's fascinating. That's
I
so
mean,
interesting. That's
okay.
not the impression Cobra Kai gives.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. She is. I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get comic book guys in the comments saying like, well, actually, narratively speaking, she serves the part. Yes, in the script, she serves the part of the love interest, but it's a subversion of what we've seen
Gotcha.
thus far. Because yes, she is the female love interest for Daniel, but she makes it crystal clear from the very beginning that she does not want anything to do with him in that way. But they are friends,
Interesting. Interesting. I
which
mean, I
which
love
again,
Amanda, so
yeah.
she's my favorite Larissa love interest.
Well, but and here's the thing. This is probably why I really disliked it. But yes, if you had 3 movies in a row where Daniel's chasing after a girl, at a certain point you got to be like, what's wrong with this kid? Like,
Fair enough.
why
Yeah.
can't now you? I always get the girls in part two confused. Yukie is the older woman. Who's Kimiko? Kimiko? Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's
it's
Kimiko.
Kimiko.
I think it is Kimiko. That story makes sense because Kimiko goes to dance school, like so she gets her dream, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know, Daniel. I ought to fought a little harder. Not gonna lie.
Right.
Not gonna lie. I think you let a good one get away.
I like a see. I'm a fan. But anyway, that all having been said,
All
that's
I'm
the
saying,
headspace I'm entering into Karate Kid Legends with. Is I'm
all,
in love with that show.
all I'm saying is that if Kimiko and Daniel had had a family, his son would not be nearly as obnoxious as Anthony is.
Okay. So okay, I don't want this to turn into a Cobra Kai thing, but
Right? I know
this
it's
is the
so
thing that
hard.
bothered me about Cobra Kai. His son in season one is a completely different character than the son that's later in that series. They're two. The guy who's like, "Can you make me a waffle, Dad?" is not the same guy as the guy who's bullying the kid in the. They're not. They're two completely different characters. But then
It's
I googled it. I spent 20 minutes googling it because it was driving me crazy. But it's the same actor.
it's the same actor. It's
Like,
absolutely the
yeah,
same actor. Yeah, yeah.
it's like he dropped the weight and went, you know what? I want a character arc now. That's what it comes
I mean,
across.
to
But
be fair, that's what happened with Taylor Lautner.
fair enough.
I mean, he didn't
That's
drop
fair enough.
he didn't drop weight. He gained weight, but you know what I mean. There was a body transformation.
But
He's like, yeah, I like lines now.
right. But I have to gush about Cobra Kai because it's gonna play into a lot of the criticism I have of the movie.
I mean, fair enough. Because as I always say when I'm making a review, we try to look at things not necessarily in a vacuum, but you try to look at a film based on its own merits. But when it's part of a franchise like this,
Yes,
you have to compare
I,
because
I,
it's all
I mean, but
intertwined.
we're friends, so you might not be surprised to my perspective on this, but you might be surprised by my. I like this movie, but for all the wrong reasons, perhaps. But we'll get there. We'll get into it.
I'm curious to hear why you say that because I feel very much the same way, but I think probably for different reasons. Because this movie, it starts out great and it progressively gets worse as the movie goes.
Well, that's okay. So here's okay. Two thoughts. One major thought, which is just that this movie did not involve the Karate Kid in its early scripting phases. It's very apparent that what this movie was it was a reverse Karate Kid. Somebody saw that it was the same thing as that Jade Smith movie where somebody in one phase or another saw that this had a vague similarity to Karate Kid and they attached and stitched the Karate Kid shit on
Because
there.
Cobra Kai was so popular.
Right.
Yep.
And either Jackie Chan wasn't or was involved in this, but the movie was
He does feel like kind of a
but you could cut him out completely.
that's what I'm
Strip him
saying.
out.
He feels like a not random. What's the word I'm looking for? He feels like an addition, an addition
Yes.
that they weave in somewhat well because in the Jaden Smith
Him and Ralph Macchio.
yeah, well in the Kung Fu Kid, it's implied that he doesn't have a family yet he has a niece.
Well, no, he. Well, I mean, I think his same deal as Miyagi. Son died and wife died.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's drink. That's what he's sad drinking about.
Sure.
So maybe, yeah. I mean, to be fair, that could be his wife's sister.
That
There's no
okay.
real
That's
sense
yeah.
apart from a name and a few loose references. There's really no connection narratively to that Jaden
Yeah.
Smith movie.
Well, and I mean, that's not a bad thing. I mean, Mr. Han is the
He's a
connection.
character, but yeah, and the jacket on, jacket off.
He is the Chinese connection. Huh?
But like I I like the kid. That's the number one thing. I'm very
I
excited. I think this is his first movie. I'm very
it
excited
is.
to
It
see what he
is.
does. He's very charismatic. I loved him. He was
He's
great.
great. They hit a home run with him because he's likable, he's funny, he has good timing. He has the ability to be, how do I say this? He can play small but not pathetic, if that makes sense.
Right. He never has that scene where he's like, I hate it here. I hate it. And
Well, to
Jordan's
be
like,
fair,
oh,
he's
Jaden Smith
older.
has that. Well, that's what Jordan said. But like even Daniel LaRusso has the I hate it here scene in the original Karate Kid. Like,
That's
but he
true.
doesn't. But that's
That's
because
true.
this movie, I swear to God, and its original scripting was the kid goes to New York and trains a guy to fight, and that was the movie.
Which
That was
honestly,
it. There
I
was
think
no
would have
Karate
been.
Kid.
I
It would have
think
been a better movie.
here's the thing: if you wanted to make this, and this would have made it a real Karate Kid movie, right? Okay. Which of the kids from Cobra Kai went to New York? I can't
Well,
remember. Oh, I get.
I haven't finished Cobra Kai. I'm still at the beginning of season 6, so I don't actually know what happens at the end of that series.
You could have made this movie. I would have liked to have seen this with Jolo, with Miguel, and it
I
doesn't have
mean,
to.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be in New York, right? But take the first 2/3 of this movie, right? Well, no, you can take the whole movie and just tweak a thing here and there. Um, or wait, where did Sam go? Sam went to Okinawa. So because here's the thing. I like to stitch things and salvage them because that's my editor brain. I understand and I like the fact that Jackie Chan is in this movie. I would have liked to have had it. And see, if Jaden Smith weren't such a,
Jaden Smith?
yeah, I think we could have somehow it could have been done if Jaden Smith wasn't such a Jaden Smith. But
I
I would
mean,
have liked to have seen something a little bit more connected with Cobra Kai.
well, that's clearly what they wanted, but it just, I mean, oh yeah, spoiler alert. If you're entering into this expecting the Cobra Kai characters to show up, that doesn't happen. I hate to tell it to you. Um, But it's funny because everyone was shitting on the Joshua Jackson bits, and yes,
Those were the best parts.
it's the fact that the Karate Kid movie, comes to a stone cold halt, so he could randomly train Joshua Jackson to box. Bad in your Karate Kid movie? Yes, it is. But like on a conceptual level, a reverse Karate Kid where the Karate Kid is the adult who's being trained is a good movie and is
I
interesting.
agree.
And that's the best part of this movie, honestly. Like
It
I was
really
really
now.
invested in that.
Yeah, now again, it's one of those things where if you think about it, which this is Karate Kid in total, if you think about any of it for more than 5 seconds, it really starts to fall apart.
I
But
mean, yeah, absolutely.
they even kind of touch on it in this movie. He's like, "But you're a boxer, you can't kick." He's like, "Yeah, but it's like because I'm gonna be real with you, kung fu. Well, okay, it depends. If you're talking Wing Chun, maybe that could serve a boxer. But any other form of kung fu is less than useless to a boxer in a
See,
boxing match.
okay, here's the thing that me and Jordan said as novices, nobody's karate and kung fu to us looks indistinguishable, visually speaking. It just looks exactly the same to us. So like when he's training in karate, it doesn't really look like anything. It just kind of looks like he's doing the same thing.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, I was actually really, really stoked to see Joshua Jackson. I hope he's in the midst of a
I love
career
Joshua
research.
Jackson.
It's a shame that I'm
Pretty sure
the
he's
age.
Canadian.
Yeah, probably. I- it's a bit of a shame that I'm the age that I am because I was just a smidge too young to really be in his, and I'm also the wrong gender, to be in his core fan base at the time. But I've always liked him. I didn't watch Dawson's Creek when it was on, but I've seen it since. And I gotta tell you, Pacey is the only character that I can stomach in that entire show. Everybody else is just fucking horrible.
I've never watched Dawson's Creek. I don't know where I know Joshua Jackson from. I just know him, and yeah, he's really good in this. And if the movie was he was the main character and it was the kid was training him, this is a substantially better movie. But then Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio show up and hijack the movie, and they interject this awful karate tournament that is incoherent.
Wait,
It's an
oh my
incoherent
goodness. Oh
karate
my
tournament.
goodness. So here's the thing, and I point to this movie a lot, as you were all probably well aware. There is such a film out there, and there are many that I affectionately call just it's a Karate Kid derivative. It's the
Oh yeah,
Karate
yeah,
Kid
that's a word.
just in a different setting. And one of my favorite ones, and I think you've talked about it before, is Never Back Down.
I have. I love that movie.
Here's the thing. This is what a lot of people talk smack about Never Back Down. Here's the thing. It knows what it is and it doesn't deviate. And it treats itself seriously in the world that it's built. It doesn't do the tongue in cheek, like, it doesn't do what the 2010 Karate Kid does instead of being like, oh, look, it's Karate Kid, but it isn't. It knows what it is, and it establishes, albeit kind of a goofy one, but within the context of the world they create, it makes sense. The tournament makes sense. It's underground, which is why nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
And until the night of. And I love what they do because it's the criticism of every movie like that, like Karate Kid, Bloodsport. Anytime there's a tournament where people are going to settle the score in the tournament, it's always like, wow, sure is lucky they made it through the entire tournament so they could face off against each other in the finals.
Right.
And it never backed down. One of them gets eliminated, and then the other one quits because the only reason he went to the tournament was to fight the other dude.
Yeah,
And I'm just like,
a street fight.
I'm like, this is brilliant because
Yeah,
this is
all
much
about it,
more this is much more plausible. I also have to shout out Never Back Down because the internet is a horrible place, and it still circles around. You'll still see it every now and again. It's this, which is funny because you can point to the scene. It's the scene where Ryan in the tournament is fighting the capoeira guy, the one who's doing like the one who's doing cartwheels and stuff, and then Ryan just does a Superman punch and knocks him out.
I vaguely remember that.
Okay, well, at some point when they were filming or rehearsing or something, somebody had a camera and was recording it, like just with a regular phone or a camera or something. Like that was a little bit further back in the day, so it was probably like a handheld camcorder. So it's like bootleg footage, but people post it on the internet, and the comments are great. It's like, see, that's why that flashy shit doesn't get you anywhere. I'm like, you do realize this is a choreographed fat scene, right? Like this is not real.
This is a movie, and
this is a movie.
Capoeira is very much not. It's not really meant for fighting.
Well, but not funny you mentioned that. They did which again, this is a case of one study, but that kick, that capoeira spinning kick,
yeah,
pound for pound is probably on an average human, because there's guys that are freaks and can do another kick harder. That probably is pound for pound the strongest kick in the world in a vacuum.
Interesting.
Just because of the momentum it generates, but it's also really difficult to do. So I get it. But what was I saying? Yeah, Joshua Jackson would have been much. I mean, honestly, if you're going to be boxing, you should probably just box.
I mean, yeah, I could see how like some of the principles, I suppose, of
that's
like,
why I said if it's Wing Chun, maybe, because you learn how to, what did you say? Punch in close tight quarters without extension. You learn how to generate power in very close quarters. So, and it does appear that at least parts of what Lee does in the movie is Wing Chun. So.
Also, like, somehow he taught him to have superpowers with that 1-inch punch that defies logic.
No, that's actually a real thing. Bruce Lee did
I
it.
know the 1-inch punch is a real thing, but does it really have that much like?
It can. There's famous videos of Bruce Lee demonstrating it. And as someone who has done, not with that degree of power, but you'd be surprised what you can generate with only 1 to 3 inches of extension. It's pretty wild. But that's because Wing Chun teaches you that. Wing Chun teaches you how to create torque and power in really, really tight,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's legit. That is a legitimate thing.
But so yeah, it's funny. So it's funny you're like Karate Kid derivative. This was a karate, and my thing with the Jane Smith is I know that was a Karate Kid derivative. It's like a big factoid I know about that movie is that like at some point during the when it was across seas when they first released it in like China or like Europe, it was called the Kung Fu Kid. And when they initially brought it to America, some executive noticed the similarities to Karate Kid and changed the name. This one, I maintain it was the same thing, but it was way sooner in production. And that's when they stitched Ralph Macchio into this because his presence in this movie feels so unbelievably forced.
Well,
It doesn't
considering,
feel organic in any way.
I mean, yes, except for I like how they integrate. It's weird because Shifu Han says, "I know someone who can help us," and then Daniel comes and they proceed to argue 80% of the time about what to
Right.
do, and it's like, Jackie, you straight up said that Lee needs karate, and now you're arguing with the karate sensei about using karate.
Okay, first question about so that story that scene that they play at the beginning from Karate Kid 2, where Miyagi tells the story about the boat and coming back and learning Miyagi-Do. They say it a bunch of times and they play that clip a bunch of times on Cobra Kai. So I'd seen it a shit ton of times, but I don't remember in the actual movie. Do they do the rest of the bit where they're like, and the second branch and whatever? Or is that added for this movie?
They added to it, yes, but that's also historically, I'm not going to say accurate, but that's to the best of our knowledge. That's is there a cat house? What? Are you done? That's a cat bark, though. That's not a person bark. Quiet. Anyway, I will. Okay. Okay. So we do know that what would become karate is a derivative of kung fu. The timelines aren't super firm because I think this was pre-written history in Okinawa and Japan, but I think China had writing. But anyway, like it's known that Okinawan karate is, has its roots, a common ancestry with Chinese kung fu, and then it moves into the Japanese mainland and becomes the karate and taekwondo that we know today. Because
Oh,
it does a circle.
interesting. So okay, so that's interesting. So then you point out he goes to get that karate guy and then he fights him. All the shit he does that's fighting with it. Have you ever seen the movie Forbidden Kingdom?
A long time ago.
It's just Forbidden Kingdom. It's just all the
Yeah.
scenes with Jet Li in that movie, right down to the bit where he's like striking crane and he attacks the guy. It's the same scene from that movie, shot for shot almost. It's kind of really funny. And then
Well,
yeah,
that
all the
yeah.
like well, I was gonna say all the shit on Daniel's end, he did it better on Cobra Kai
Yeah, but I
with
mean,
Johnny.
yeah, that's true. That's true. The other thing, though, and I want to shout this out because I thought it was great, is there's a lot of nods to Jackie Chan in this movie, particularly the alley fight scene with Lee. There's a lot of Jackie Chan's old. I think there's some copied moves even.
Oh, interesting. That I didn't know.
There's a lot of homage and Jackie Chan's sort of style because it's funny because I saw some of this. I rewatched Shanghai Noon randomly last night.
Oh, that's a good one. It's a
That's
solid
such
one.
a good one. Jackie Chan's very funny fight choreography where he's in the middle of a fight and then there's somebody will hit him or he messes up a move and falls. These are very
Yeah, oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's not quite slaps. It's not quite Buster Keaton slapstick, but it's close. There's a great moment when he's got the moose horns, and then he realizes the guy's going to hit him, and he just goes no, and then he punches him.
I mean, I used to say that I'd never seen a bad Jackie Chan movie, and then I watched The Medallion. Oof, that's a
Ooh,
bad movie.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, man, his old stuff, like Drunk. If you've never seen Drunken Master, is one of the greatest Jackie Chan movies ever. That is when he's at his like peak. He was so fast back in the day. Like he had some crazy moves where you're like, whoa. Also, watch City Hunter. Do not recommend that movie either.
Ooh, yeah. But it doesn't mean the good news is Jackie Chan made a lot of movies, so
He did. He did. And some of them were good, and some of them were. But my favorite is still his swing of like when what Virus was saying about him in regards to like his different perception of him and the Karate Kid. That was kind of the first time America had seen him be sort of serious.
That's not no
No,
no
I
no.
mean, from my perception, he was always just goof. Like he always did those
Oh,
silly
you know
like
what?
the tuxedo.
I take that back because fair enough. I swear I'm not trying to sound like a member of the Academy, but I have to remind myself that I watch weird and foreign movies. So I say Jackie Chan did, which to be fair, I do think this was after the Kung Fu Kid, but I think it was a year after. He did, and it's wild to see. He did a historical epic movie, a period piece in China that was not no kung fu. It was about their 1911 revolution when they overthrew the
Hmm,
emperor, and
interesting.
we're a democracy for like 10 seconds.
But to be fair, he's had a very story dramatic career in China.
He
So
has, yeah.
on the American side of things, like yeah, he did after he did a movie called The Foreigner that is apparently
Oh,
quite good.
that's so good. It's weird.
Yeah,
No, I shouldn't say it's weird because that sounds negative. It's very interesting to see him in that role where he's still a badass, but in a very different way. Like again, there's no kung fu. It's all
yeah,
just like how cold and calculated he is, and it's a different. You get to see Jackie Chan's acting range, which believe it or not is there. Like Jackie
oh
Chan
yeah,
is a phenomenal actor. It's just that, and I will give credence to what Virus said now, is because for the most part, here in the West, we saw his goofy, fun kung fu flicks, which is fine. You go where the money is, right? But
yeah.
I don't think the average American understands just how gigantic Jackie Chan is in China.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, yeah, he's massive. He's massive.
He has a recording. He has albums. He
Yeah, oh, yeah.
sings there.
The only reason why I know he sings is because he sings. I think he plays him in the Chinese version as well. But he sings "I'll Make a Man Out of You" in Chinese,
Yeah, because I think
and
he
it's
does play Li Shang.
yeah. But yeah, it's the only reason I know that he sung. I was like, wow, he actually sings quite well.
Yeah, in
Jackie
America we
Chan,
got
talented guy.
yeah, and then freaking America we got Donny Osmond,
Yeah, yeah, hey,
who also
he's an
sings well.
American treasure.
He is, yeah, I'm not taking anything away from Donnie.
So the Osmonds are an American institution, I'll have you know.
They're like the Kennedys, just with less death.
With way less tragedy.
Oh
Um,
gosh, but yeah. So
but
I, this is what I'm talking about. So, uh, spoiler alert! Now, if you haven't seen Karate Kid Legends, this is where you're gonna want to la 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 because I'm not gonna try to not spoil it for people. I'm gonna try, but I'm not gonna try that hard because we're talking about plot elements.
I mean, it's Karate Kid. There's a tournament and he wins. What do you want from us?
Well, yeah, but the tournament's like an afterthought.
It's well, yeah, it's because it's stitched in because it's clearly been put in on like a second or third run through on this draft, which is clearly also once again stitched in Ralph Macchio, who you could cut out easily and with
Anyone
minimal effort.
anyone who's in the insurance business and watched this movie just had conniption fits the whole time. They were like, you can't just hold a random martial arts tournament across the city without, especially without protection for the fighters. Like that's
Or yeah,
everyone will sue everyone.
there's a commentator. It's filmed. People, it's an underground tournament, but people know about it. The
It's
bad guy. I wouldn't even call him a character. They're trying to do Crease like they're trying like the gym owner is the evil coach because these movies need an evil
I think
coach.
he
But he's
has
in
doesn't
like
he
two
have
scenes.
I was gonna say doesn't he have like two lines?
Yeah, he has like two lines.
One of which is just egging the kid on, and it's like, okay, ah.
That I just the problem with the evil bully kid is clearly an afterthought because it's not remotely believable that the kid loses to him. He's too talented at kung fu, and karate and kung fu are not the same thing. And so when Daniel LaRusso shows up to teach him karate, it doesn't really look like anything. It's just Ralph Macchio standing around. to somehow feebly attach this to the Cobra Kai universe because that show is popular.
I mean, yeah, and Jackie Chan is popular. I'm with you. I think this could have been a Karate Kid derivative, and actually probably would have been a better movie.
Yeah, absolutely. You make the bit where because like Joshua Jackson just disappears from this movie. Like he's just gone. He's in the hospital and he's gone. He shows up in a couple of scenes where they don't discuss the amount of money that he needs, but okay, all right. And that's kind of it. Like this, instead of doing the tournament, cut out Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan and have the third act have Joshua Jackson have a redemption fight where it's a fair fight this time.
Okay, here's an idea because there are certain elements that I liked.
Boom.
I would have done it differently. So I recommended that you watch the 1992 Gladiator film, the boxing one.
Yes, I did enjoy that movie.
So here's what I would have done, assuming this is a Karate Kid derivative. So you have Lee, same story up until Joshua Jackson's fight, and everything else happens the same. Except in this time, not Ben, why do I call him Ben? Uncle Ben! um, Peter. Lee freezes at the hospital, blah, 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 blah. And you can even still have Jackie Chan in this movie, right? This is what I'm saying. You could integrate it in some way. And now, oh shit, I just brought Ralph Macchio into it as well. Except we don't need karate, we need boxing. So we have to have some. Oh, what's up, Isaac? You have Lee train for boxing because it's the only way that he's going to be able to get the loan sharks off of Joshua Jackson's pizza place. And then his nickname Stuffed Crust actually makes more sense because he's fighting for the pizza
That's an
place.
interesting subversion. See, in my version of this, I like the angle that's the kid training the adult. So I would have just added another fight for Joshua Jackson, where this time Lee convinces the guy to go to have a fair fight.
Okay. Here's what you could do. Lee's
Well,
not
having him
involved.
in boxing is a fun thing.
I think honestly you could do. I think you could do either or, but to your point, what you could do too is Lee at first refuses to train him because it's like, I made a promise. I made a promise not to fight. So then it is Gladiator 92. I promised I wouldn't fight anymore.
Well, so okay, it's not even mentioning the mother whose character arc is incoherent. But so like, where I'm saying this movie felt like again in one version of the script because that's where my brain always goes. I'm always like I can see the edits and just the
There's a lot that could have been done. And I want to stress this. It's not a bad movie. There are just elements that could have been done better.
It reeks of executive notes, like just producer notes. It reeks of studio notes, like of being like you need to connect this to Karate Kid.
Well, and not only that, I have to complain. This really irked me. It's probably the thing that I like the least about this movie is in a movie where clearly everyone in it is super talented. Like his name's Ben Wong, right? I think that's his name, the actor's name. Yeah. But everybody is even the kid who plays the bully, whose name I don't even remember because it's irrelevant.
No.
We don't need to know his name. They're clearly good, right? They're clearly athletic. Like Ben Wong is doing the kicks, and yet they still have wire work for really strange things like falls or like getting kicked super far, and it's obviously wire work. It's obvious, and I'm just like, why? Why?
That's super super distracting. But the mom, her objection to him fighting doesn't make any sense when he can fight and they're moving to New York, where theoretically no one can fight except for this one very specific guy.
Well,
but like,
and this sounds really heartless. But his brother died because he didn't fight good enough.
Well, yeah, his brother fought because of an over competitive competitor who stabbed
well, and let's be real here, like that it's like you said, that's really strange motivation for her to have her other son never fight again because it's not like them studying martial arts was the cause of his death. It was the sore
Exactly.
loser who had a knife on him. And like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's like you said, if anything, I would think that would motivate him to be like, no, you have to train because that's what your brother would have wanted, and blah blah blah. Blah, you know?
So it reads that at a certain juncture in the script writing process, the mother's arc was against competition, which would lead into him training. So then that would give her an objection to him training the guy. Because otherwise, what's her objection to him training the guy? Why
Right.
hide that? She has
Well,
no
and then
reason to. What's training him gonna? What's the harm gonna come from that? Other than he goes to a competition and he gets stabbed.
well, but again, this points to never back down because they did it better. Because initially, uh, Jake's mom is against him training, and then she, after talking to John Roca, the master, the teacher, uh, she begins to begrudgingly understand that the fighting's not making him angry; it's helping him channel that. Because in
Yeah,
that movie, Jake blames himself for his father's death, and that makes way more sense than Ben blaming himself for his brother's death in Karate Kid
exactly.
Legends. Because it's like, I can understand why Jake would feel guilt, because for those who haven't seen Never Back Down, Jake feels guilty because his father dies in a car accident that Jake was in too, but his father had been drinking and Jake didn't take the keys from him and drive, so he feels responsible. And I
Yeah,
mean, he's not because he's a child, but that makes more sense to me psychologically.
exactly.
Like, that makes
But
way
also,
more sense.
that arc of him being scared of his and like him not helping Joshua Jackson,
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense
that
whatsoever.
that doesn't square with him beating the kid at the end. They have nothing to do with each other. That's where I'm saying that third act feels like it was added and it was changed. The ending of the third act was
It
completely
does.
changed
It
because it
does
has
feel like,
nothing
yeah.
to do with each other, and it's really noticeable.
This
Like
did
maybe
feel like this did feel like the beginning of one movie and the end of another movie were just kind of Frankenstein together,
yes,
and just so happened to
exactly.
be the same actors.
Yes, yeah. Jordan said that it would have made far more sense if the kid moved to California,
Way
where
more sense.
Ralph Macchio lived, and he happened to run into Ralph Macchio, and Ralph Macchio is now Mr. Miyagi, and that's where he has to learn karate, and then that makes sense, and then
And you
that
could still
interjects.
Well, you could still have Jackie Chan. Like I said, I was actually thinking in the theater, this movie would make way more sense if, like you said, he moves to California, and because Jackie Chan knows of Daniel, he can call him up and say, "Hey, here's Lee's my nephew or whatever he is, blah 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 blah." And I understand you want to have Jackie Chan in the movie. You can have him come later in the movie, and then
Yeah,
the friction between him and Ralph Macchio or Daniel makes more sense because Jack and Mr. Sifu Han can be like, "Okay, I'm here now. We don't
yeah,
need
that's what Jordan
karate
said. That's
anymore."
exactly what Jordan said. Yes,
Yeah,
because he's like, otherwise, you're right. You went to him and dragged him from California to go help the kid. You're giving him the business. That doesn't make any sense
yeah.
because they want scenes of him and to be like, who's the better teacher? But again, they already did this. Like there's just narratively, like I saw a bunch of people who were disappointed by how much Daniel LaRusso was in this movie, but like narratively, he doesn't add anything. So like
Well,
he
he
might as well not
does.
be in it.
He gives him the idea, which I actually did like how he takes the kick that didn't work initially and then modifies it. Although, to be fair, that's not really karate. But I do like how they did the whole like sweep the leg. I thought that was cute. That was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
But so my other sort of pitch for this movie is that because Jackie Chan has that line, it's one line, and then we never hear about it again. Where he's like, "If you have a friend in trouble, we'll help." They did absolutely nothing to
right.
stop the loan sharks. Didn't have. So I would have liked to have seen a subplot where this would have been hilarious too. This would have been great. Daniel's training Lee. Jackie. Mr. Han is there, and since they're in California, that means Johnny Lawrence is at least around. So you can have Johnny and Jackie have some really fun scenes where they're going after the loan sharks,
Oh,
right?
that would be. I mean, I would have liked to because the one thing I like about Cobra Kai, the show, is I like the idea, like I like the melding of the styles. I like the idea that yeah, a little bit of Cobra Kai minus the parts that make you a dick, is beneficial. And yeah, I would have liked to see that interjection into this. Like I
Well,
don't
because
necessarily
the
think
end
the
of the
whole Cobra Kai cast, but certainly,
no,
yeah, William
and
Zabka. At
and
the
here
very least.
and here's where Johnny can actually play a part in the narrative, right? So Jackie, I keep calling him Jackie, Sifu Han and Daniel are arguing, right? And Daniel can hit him with like, "Hey, you called me. He already tried kung fu. It's not working. We need to integrate karate." And then Johnny can show up and be like, "What's going on?" And then he can give a speech which speaks to his. Granted, you haven't seen it yet, so I won't spoil it for you. I will just say the story for Johnny and Cobra Kai goes full circle, and this reinforces that in a very good way. And Johnny can then, sit down with Jackie Chan and be like, "Hey, listen, I thought it was goofy too, blah, 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 blah." And then he can go into how, like, you know, learning from Daniel brought me back to center, to balance. And honestly, eh, I'm a better sensei, I'm a better fighter, I'm a better this, I'm better
Yeah.
that, blah, 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 blah. He's like, let him work with the kid.
And then Jackie Chan gets something to do in this movie other than just argue with Ralph Macchio, like, with shit from better movies. Like,
Well, and they can still have the fun, like they can all train Lee on and off, and you can have a really fun training montage where Daniel's the straight man, Johnny gets to do his usual stick, where
yeah,
it's like this training doesn't make any sense. It's like just shut up and do it, and then Jackie can do his fun stuff.
yeah, well, yeah, because it's like they bring in Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso, and they don't even do the bit where it's the wax on, wax off doing chores. Like
Yeah, I know.
that's half the fun of the Miyagi Do is that's having like that's some of my favorite scenes on Cobra Kai. Like one of my favorite scenes is the bit where they're having him do wax on, wax off on Johnny's car, and they're in the back. He's like, and if you find any change, you give it to me. And they're just cleaning his back seat. Like that shit was funny. Like that was great.
Yeah.
Like that's just my
Well,
favorite part.
and there's a really funny moment Johnny could have. They're doing the whole like jacket on, jacket off, and then Johnny can be like, "Why are you wearing a jacket? And we're in Southern California in the summer."
Oh, that's another good point. Yeah, like you do have a missed opportunity to have the Karate Kid characters do the jacket on. I didn't even think about that part of it. Yeah, that's also funny. Yeah, to have them do the jacket on, jacket off. But like this movie, as it exists, doesn't do really good job, in my opinion, as someone who's not ultra familiar between the two, of why he needs to learn karate. Like what is it
Yeah,
about
it's
kung
not.
fu? Oh,
Well, and
worse.
well, and this is another example of, if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, you're like, this movie would have you believe that because the other guy's doing karate and he want to fight, that clearly Lee just needs to study karate. No,
No?
that makes very little sense. Um,
And just visually, when he gets to that tournament, it doesn't really look any different. So he's doing karate in that final tournament. He's doing karate now, and he's not doing kung fu. Because to me, it all looks like the same shit.
It's yeah. Well, and to be fair, like it's not. I mean, like it's kind of karate, but you get like this weird, especially in 2025, this weird division of styles. And Cobra Kai does this too, but I get why they do it. But like what they're doing in Cobra Kai is not karate; it's all kinds of different stuff. And it's like
True.
martial arts. Martial arts today is not, probably other than jujitsu, is it's not super limited, because even, well, I guess Muay Thai to a certain extent, but Muay Thai takes elements from other martial arts, and just it's all a
True.
big, it's all just a big soup. And it depends on your body type. It depends on how flexible you are. It depends on what your skill sets are. But this like weird sort of sense of like you only train karate, that hasn't been the case since the 80s.
When Karate Kid came out.
But even then, like I would, well, actually, it's it really, because of UFC one, really changed that whole like soul discipline. But even then, it's not like,
Yeah,
certainly not in competition. Because look at the Shamrocks. They were
true.
they were interdisciplinary training. I mean, well before UFC one. That was their deal. Like shoe
I
fighting
mean,
was a
that's
thing.
why he was so successful.
To be fair, hot take, but I still think he was robbed in UFC 1. I think Ken Shamrock should have won that fight.
I disagree. But to be fair, I mean, like the Gracies were known for cheating.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I mean,
Uh,
let's be real. The rules were somewhat lax in that first one. It's like no
I
glove
mean, this is true.
except for the guy that had the glove, and like you're not allowed to wear gis except for Hoist because Hoist can wear a gi, and so can the other kid who does jujitsu. They can wear gis, but nobody else can wear gis.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, there's accusations that that first one was really rigged so that Hoist would win,
Oh, I 100% believe it.
so that they
I
because
mean,
the whole thing was engineered to
case,
show off the
I mean, case in
Gracie
point.
fighting style.
I mean, case in point, and this sounds, and I'm not meaning to like sling shit at the Gracies or any professional fighter, but I mean, it's just look at how the Gracies do in Japan when they're not allowed to wear their gis. Like, not saying
But
they lose, like they still win fights, but like Sakuraba, they call him the Gracie killer, but or the Gracie Hunter. I'm sorry, they call him the Gracie Hunter, which is ironic because the Gracies were coming after him after he beat who did he beat first? It wasn't Hoist, it was maybe it was Hickson. I can't remember who he beat first. But then the family's like, "Oh, we're going to get revenge on you," and then he beat that Gracie. And then they're like, "He's the Gracie Hunter," and it's like they're challenging him. He's just kind of here.
you're right.
There's a
He's just
great moment in that, and I think it is Hoist it's either Hoist or I can't remember. He does it though. Is the Gracie fighter's on his back, and in typical jiu-jitsu position, and Sakuraba's trying to get around him, and he just can't. So he just like he doesn't actually shrug his shoulders, but there's a moment that kind of just feels like he's just like, all right, and he just jumps up in the air and just double stomps him in the chest, and then is
ooh.
able to get him out, and he's just like, all right, you want to play that game, and then just proceeds to beat the ever loving
God,
power out of him.
this was in Pride, it's in Japan, right? So this is
Yeah, I
Pride.
believe it was Pride. I know it was in
Pride
Japan.
is savage.
Oh man, I miss that was, and you gotta remember, man, that was early. That was Boss Rutan's glory days. That was good
Oh
stuff.
yeah, that was when you were allowed to soccer kick. That's my one of my all time. I have a real soft spot in terms of video games for the UFC games. On my hardline motto for those games is I don't understand why anyone would play with the difficulty with those games on high. It's way more fun to put the difficulty low and ragdoll NPCs. So I like to make my guys like super invincible and then just have them go 50-0 and become monstrous. Um, or was I? Oh yeah, my favorite UFC game is UFC 10 because it has Pride in it, and Pride is the
Oh,
only mode
nice.
in that game where you can soccer kick guys in the head.
Yeah,
It's really, really satisfying.
Pride was nasty, dude. Like that
It was
was
so brutal. It was real brutal. Boss, I mean, I love Boss. Who doesn't love Boss Rutan?
Boss Rutan needs to be in the next Karate Kid movie. Not gonna
I
lie.
mean, he genuinely I mean, one of my all-time favorite movies is
Here comes the boom.
oh, fucking love that movie. That movie's
That
so great. The
well,
only time the
if you
boxer
want to get
lives.
technical, that's another Karate Kid derivative because that's kind of it doesn't
Oh,
have the bully.
absolutely, it's a Karate Kid.
It doesn't have the bully element, but I mean, it's basically the Karate Kid. But it's a great movie. That's a movie that is 10 times better than it has any business being.
Absolutely. I mean, that's because I think Kevin James put in the work. Like although before I've developed an affinity for Sandler, but I used to respect Kevin James way more because I was like, man, he put in the work for that movie, and it comes across. Him and Henry Winkler, I always have a soft spot for Henry Winkler.
Yeah, but Boss
But
Rutan
yeah,
in that
I guess
movie is oh
yeah, I mean, I quote him all the time. Victory dance. I quote that movie constantly. He's so fun. He
the
was in
the
something else that made me laugh.
well that entire movie, but the fun story about that whole like workout routine is he modeled that after what some guy said was a foolproof street fight strategy in a bar once.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen the videos of him. The bong bong bong. I'm
Bomb
pretty sure I've
bomb
seen it.
liver shot.
What's funny because I can't remember which one, but in one of those UFC games, one of the achievements is the when you liver punch a guy, it's called the boss route.
I mean that. Yeah, that
Oh, just
was
go
that
through the
was his
liver kick,
deal.
baby.
Ooh.
Yep.
And as I've taken one really solid liver shot once in my life, and that's a
Mm.
level of pain that you're not ready for. It's very surprising because
Ah,
you assume that area until you're hit there, obviously. Then you learn really quickly. You just assume that's an area of your body that can really take punishment. It's kind of like getting hit in the ribs for the first time. It's like you think
no, man.
there's this bone wall there. Ow.
Yeah, no, people think getting hit in the face is bad, but getting hit in the body hurts way worse. Yeah, oh
I mean,
man,
yeah,
that's why like
no, that's fair. That's fair because I'm trying to think. I'm like, have I ever been? Of course, I've been hit in the face before. Yeah, don't get me wrong. None of it's fun, but
no,
it's not it's a
for the
different kind of pain.
damage.
Yeah, it's a
Your
different
body
kind
is
of
way
pain.
more soft and
Soft and
squishy.
squishy. But yeah, oh, that liver shot.
No, yeah.
It's
It's
nasty.
like whenever I see um oh the that's my purse, but Bobby Hill. Um the the bit at the end where he kicks Peggy square in the box and she doesn't react. Yeah, man, if he kicked her as hard as he could in the
Oh no, that would
there's
absolutely work.
and the reason I know that is because when I was a manager at a fast food place once, it was in a gas station and I was across the way getting changed, and I hear this girl scream. And I go running in the back, and for some reason, these were teenagers. For some reason, the one girl thought it would be funny to kick her friend in the box, and she crumpled like paper, and I had no idea what to do. And I don't really remember what I did do. I just remember standing there being like, "What did you do? Why did you do that?" So
Why did you?
yeah.
How did you? Where did you?
What? Why did you? Oh, teenagers are psychos, man.
Well, speaking of purses, you know what? Actually, has nothing to do with purses, but we got candles, y'all. And like I said,
I mean,
our sponsor for this episode is Stevie Wicks. But don't worry, they're not just for chicks. If you don't have a purse, you can still buy candles from Stevie Wicks. Because check that out. Boom, we got anime stuff, bro.
some Dragon Ball candles.
We got you can get 1 through 7 stars, baby,
You
in
could be
various
sparking.
stars. But not 0. You should buy all 7. Because I'm not saying that if you like all 7, a dragon will appear and grant your heart's desire, but it's worth a shot. But fret not. Maybe you're not an anime fan. Maybe you're more of the stage type of person. Well, we got something for you too. We've got our Good Witch and Bad Witch, Wicked series that are also available.
And
So
you
for
could
you,
get them for good.
I mean, until you burn them, then they'll melt. Oh
They'll
no,
be
no.
melting,
But then also
melting.
4th of July is coming up. 4th of July candles will be available soon. But regardless of what kind of candles you want to buy, you can use the promo code AIP and save 10% at checkout. So use that code, buy your candles, and you will be happier. Don't let don't let life kick you in the box. Buy a candle.
I mean, I'm sure they would have been much happier if they had a candle,
I mean, I don't know about you. I'd much rather have a candle than get kicked in the balls.
right?
There's no contest for that.
I mean, I'd much rather have a candle.
Significantly much rather have a candle. But speaking of good things, I don't want to be a negative Nancy because overall, I would say that overall I like this movie. But again,
The
it's kind
review
of like
sounds negative, but it's like there's a solid 30 to 40 minutes in the middle that I was having a great time.
it
Till
makes me want
Jackie
to,
Chan showed back up.
which is super rare that Jackie Chan shows up and you're like, oh
Oh. I see, it wasn't
no,
him so much as it was Ralph Macchio where I went, oh. Really
yeah,
when
it
they started
is.
training for that karate tournament that it just became a slog for me.
Well, and I also hate to break it to everyone, which again, Karate Kid, if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, it starts to fall apart. Um,
A little bit.
Even if you have a solid martial arts foundation, 10 days of training is not going to do
No,
anything.
and again, you're skipping over all the parts of Miyagi-Do that are funny and fun to watch,
Yeah.
right? And it just kind of turns into generic like kung fu training, and in a setting where it's like he already knows
Actually,
kung fu.
remind me, in Kung Fu Kid, did they have, because Mr. Han has cars, right? Did they do a
Yeah.
wax on, wax off thing? I can't
No, it's
remember.
jacket on, jacket on, jacket off, and I believe paint the fence. It was paint the fence.
Ah, well,
No, no way, no, jacket on, jacket off. Uh, with attitude. Oh, there was. I don't remember what his second action was. Oh, it was pick it up. I think it was pick it up and put it down. I think is what
yes.
it was.
Okay. Well, if he had done a wax on, wax off, that could have been a cool little, like, two branches, one tree moment, because Daniel could have had him been doing the wax on, wax off, and then he could have been like, oh, yeah, I know this. This is what we do, And then
Yeah.
and then Ralph and Jackie could have just looked at each other and been like,
I mean, I enjoyed it. Once again, everything that was sort of tangentially interesting was only interesting to me because I saw it better on Cobra Kai. But like, I enjoyed in Cobra Kai how he folded in different chores to teach different principles, and like that, they could have folded that idea in a way that was interesting. Like, I don't know.
I gotta nitpick Cobra Kai. Oh no, I gotta nitpick Karate Kid because aren't isn't sand the floor effectively the same? No, I'm wrong because wax on, wax off is uh,
Yeah,
outside circle, sand the floor is inside. Okay, never
it
mind.
was inside circles. Yeah,
Criticism revoked.
yeah,
Because I was
yeah.
gonna
Like
say,
I
yeah, I was gonna say, isn't wax on, wax off and sand the floor the same movement? But no, it is not.
It is not. But yeah, I enjoyed like sweeping the floor and like
Yeah,
I mean my one of my personal favorite characters on that show. I will say that show, every time I dislike a character on that show, I was constantly like I couldn't stand Dimitri for the longest fucking time. And then he turned into a character that I fucking love.
he turned into
Stingray.
he turned into a character.
Stingray. He turned into a character. Stingray. Stingray. I just could not stand Stingray. He drove me crazy. Like I was screaming into my television, being like, "Dude, what are you doing? You're hanging out with minors." Like when he shows up at that party and the cops
With
are like,
alcohol,
"Dude, you're partying with minors with alcohol. You know how long you could
which
go to jail for?"
but you gotta appreciate his commitment to Edward Forty Hands.
Right? Yeah. I mean, oh my God. But I was never so happy as to when he left the show. So when he came back, I was so bummed. I was like,
and
fuck, I
and
hate this character so
but he
much.
but he became a character.
Yeah, he has a touching monologue, and I was at the end of it, I was like, fuck, fuck you, man. I hate this. I hate that I feel things.
You're supposed to be
Um,
annoying, and here I am liking kind
the
of.
the the one criticism I will levy towards Cobra Kai is anything involving John Kreese looks bad. My personal favorite is the fight sequence between okay, every scene where he physically overpowers William Zabka is not remotely believable. My personal favorite is the one where it's the prolonged fight sequence with a stunt double that doesn't look anything like the guy who plays Kreese, who looks taller than him. It
No,
was
this is
really bad. It was
see.
so
Oh,
bad.
okay, I got a bone to pick with you on that because here we go. You cut that up, but when I bring up the fact that Captain Kirk's stunt double looks nothing like William Shatner, you're like, I didn't see it.
Oh, I know. Once you pointed it out, it's all I could see.
That's true.
But
That's
like,
true. But I don't
no,
understand how you
initially I
couldn't
didn't see
see
it.
it
No,
because it'd be one thing if it was always the back of the guy's head, but it's first of all it's a different haircut, so it's kind of like different hair color. But like the first time they do it in the Enemy Within, sorry, Star Trek tangent, it's like they're not showing you the back of the guy's head. You can see his face.
yeah.
It's
Once you pointed
clear.
out, it was like, yeah, I noticed it. Initially, I did because I think I was being really forgiving. Because to be fair, Star Trek is a show from the 1960s,
I mean,
and Cobra
yes,
Kai, Cobra Kai is from recent. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's because like there was a scene very early on with Kreese where they tried to have him fight. Well, for the longest time, every time he fights on that show, it cuts away.
yeah.
Like you never actually see him in a fight, and then you finally do it. He doesn't look remotely believable. I mean, every other angle, like they
Well, I mean,
the other
and
criticism I have is not every character needs a tragic backstory. Would be my like I don't think he needed a tragic backstory. Was it compelling? Sure, but it was like, did he need it? No.
um, I. mm, I'm not going to say that he needed it, but I will admit it made his character more interesting. But
Fair, no fair. I agree with that with him and
now
Terry
what
Silver.
now what we didn't need was the really weird trip to Korea in season 5 where he survives a venomous snake bite because karate
Oh
magic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, to be fair, season 5, I will say it does. There are some moments where it dips in quality, but
Well,
there's so many moments that I
and then his master is the guy from Kill Bill. Like,
yeah, yeah. I mean, my thing was, I mean, to be fair, I haven't finished season 6. I only watched like 2 episodes because I decided I was going to leave it because we're going to come back to it on the show, because I'm going to make Jordan watch it. Um, but his Miguel's drug dealer dad, or at least I assume he's a drug
oh yeah,
dealer. I
he's
assume he,
involved in
he
something seedy. Yes.
yeah, I assume I'm assuming like my Chekhov's gun is like surely he's gonna come back and this is gonna impact Miguel in some negative way. But then I'm like, nah, probably not.
No, they just needed him. They needed him to go to Mexico for some reason. But
So
funnily,
him and Robbie could bond.
yeah. But funnily enough, my conspiracy theory, and I think I'm right, is that I think Karate Kid Legends, other than they were gonna make the movie, but I think they they made the movie a Karate Kid movie because they saw the success of Cobra Kai. And then, ironically, if this movie does well, I don't think they'll continue Cobra Kai because of how well that was wrapped up. But I think you might get another series in the Karate Kid universe, which will essentially be more Cobra Kai, but not
I
called Cobra Kai.
I love the kid, I love the girl, and I love Joshua Jackson. Cut Ralph Macchio and and Jackie Chan. You know, we can leave Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan can stay, but cut out Ralph Macchio. Don't bring him back. I would watch another one of these. It's going to seem very
Oh,
paradoxical, but
I
I
think
really
they're gonna get. I think you're gonna get more movies because I mean it was good. It was not. This movie was not insulting to the viewers. Like
no.
you know, it was made with a certain degree of love and studio interference. But yeah, like you said, I giggled a couple times about the stuffed
Oh
crust
yeah.
nickname. Like I thought that was cute. I thought it was a really cute joke.
Yeah, I liked him and the girl. I liked him and again, I liked him and Joshua Jackson. I liked the kid. And like I saw a bunch of reviews going into it complaining that Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan were barely in it. But like it's called The Karate Kid, so I would never enter this expecting them to be in it a ton. And I so a bunch of this was just him and the girl, I was like, I'm really digging this.
Yeah,
But
and
and
it makes sense.
Jordan leaned in at one point and went, this isn't a Karate Kid movie," and
No, it is. The
I went,
bandana's
"Yeah,
coming. It's coming.
yeah, yeah, it's coming." But I was digging it, so I would watch a second movie where yeah, you give him I don't know maybe an adversary that's a little bit more interesting, a little bit more compelling. But I would watch another one. Certainly, I want to see him do more in something.
Oh, to be fair, I think you'll see more of him, which Um, yeah, like I said, he's likable. He's a good actor. Um,
Mhm.
he didn't let the role become a gimmick, which is kudos to him and the director because it very easily could have just become zany Karate Kid shenanigans. You know, like
Yeah,
a la the next Karate Kid, which we don't talk about, but it is.
I've definitely never seen it.
It's that's a weird one.
No love for was it Hillary Swank?
I don't have a. I'll be honest. I don't have a problem with Hilary Swank in that movie. In fact, I think she's quite charming in that movie. I have a problem with the just. It's just a terrible story, and okay,
I find it funny that, to my knowledge, she doesn't come back in season 6 of Cobra Kai, right?
she
You
does
know
not.
that it's amazing. I think she's the one obscure character that show didn't have. It's kind of impressive to
Well,
me.
but the only through line is like barely a relationship with Mr. Miyagi. Like it's barely there. And in
Fair
Cobra
enough.
Kai, Mr. Miyagi's dead, so it really wouldn't make sense. It would have to be a really big coincidence. And because Cobra Kai is not involved in Karate Kid Part 4 either, or next Karate Kid, I should
Oh,
say Part 4. No, in
yeah,
that
fair
movie,
enough.
you get to watch Hilary Swank emasculate her love interest because
Mhm.
a kid that's in junior ROTC gets his ass kicked in a fight with the junior ROTC guys, but Hilary Swank, who studied karate for 10 minutes, takes out not only the other guys, but the leader, the adult man who is
What?
ex-military.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, ROTC. I was gonna say that's military, right?
Yeah, it's like military, but when you're in high school, so it's like military prep.
Oh, okay. So, we had a name for it. They called it cadets here.
Yeah.
Is it?
Similar. Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
to be fair, in the movie, I don't think they call it ROTC, but that's what it is.
Oh, is that weird military school where they scream at you a bunch?
No. Some schools just have an ROTC program. It may or may not be
Oh, okay.
directly affiliated with the school, but I forget what ROTC stands for. Hang on, I'm gonna.
Because I've seen clips of, or is that West Point? But there's this like famous military school where like people want to go to get screamed at. I'm just seeing
Oh,
clips of the people screaming at them.
okay. Reserve Officers Training Corps.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's what I thought it was. It's like
Oh, okay.
that sounds totally military.
And actually, I'm going to clarify. It's not ROTC. It's Junior ROTC because ROTC is for college students. Junior
Gotcha.
ROTC is like prep for. So yes, I misspoke. So no disrespect to ROTC, but I just wanted to be accurate there.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
Gotcha.
so if you're in high school, you're in junior ROTC or something to
Oh,
that effect. Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
And if
Interesting.
I'm wrong, let me know in the comments because I wasn't in junior ROTC. So,
No, I don't even know what the Canadian equivalent to that would be.
well, that would be the mini Mounties.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing.
Well, they ride ponies instead of horses.
It's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Or small mules. That's slightly smaller hats. I assume I wouldn't know. It's
Mini
funny 'cause
Mounties.
we talked about high school sports last week, and I was like, I started to be like, high school sports weren't that popular when I was in high school. And then I went, well, I wasn't that popular, so I never went to any sports. So I honestly wouldn't know. So just in real time, my thoughts were like formulating of like, I shouldn't make such declarative statements.
Not a sports ball fan, eh?
Not a sports ball fan. I was like, for all I know, the whole school would show up to an inter-team basketball game. I don't know. That seems implausible to me, but it's maybe.
But I mean, hockey would be more popular there, right?
Well, not my high schools. My high schools were basketball. We had
Really?
an inter-school basketball team.
Hmm.
To be fair, I went to three high schools. So the first one was the Marlins. I don't remember what the second one was, and then my third school was the Griffins.
Yeah, we play basketball.
No, more like the mythical creature Griffins.
Yeah, I know, but it's
Yeah. No, I know.
Peter Griffin. Yeah, Peter Griffin. Ah, crap.
I'm just picturing a Griffin with the voice of Peter Griffin. He's Peter Griffin.
I'm magical.
I'd watch it.
Who would watch it? As I'm
I'd
saying,
watch it.
it's cute to crap on Family Guy now, but I mean, what is it?
I mean,
Is it season 30? Like,
my my favorite thing about Family Guy is when people will complain about a thing on Family Guy, and it's like well after the time that Seth MacFarlane stopped writing for that show, and the comments are like, "Damn it, Seth MacFarlane for this thing on Family Guy." And it's like, yeah, he hasn't written on this show in like
oh
years.
man, the manatees took over a decade ago.
Oh yeah, literal decade ago.
Yeah. Which
I get that reference.
which speak, speaking of Seth, Orville season 4.
Yeah, yeah, we don't
Can
need
we?
like a second Ted show.
No, not a second one. And I will admit, from what I've seen of the TED show, it's good, but we
No,
don't.
he's making a second one. It's an animated one with Mark Wahlberg and the original cast.
What are you talking about? We already got the movies. We already got the TV show. What do you? We don't need a cartoon, and we don't
We
need
don't
a.
need a
We don't need
cartoon.
a.
We
We
don't
don't
need
need
a.
a. We don't need a Mark Wahlberg, voice match.
No, it's actually Mark Wahlberg.
You're okay.
Yeah, it's actually Mark Wahlberg and Amanda. Like most of the original cast are coming back. It's Amanda Seyfried's in it. On concept, I'm not against it, only insofar as that it impedes his ability to make the Orville.
We want the Orville. Let's make the Orville first.
Make it first.
I kind of feel like season 4 of the Orville would be the last season, though.
I mean,
Regrettably.
well, to be fair, season 3 had a real "this is the last season" vibe. I don't like limbo. Like my thing is like if I'm a firm believer that if a hiatus lasts longer than a year, you should just cancel the show. But that's just my opinion. Like I think if the show's been on,
I don't know about that, but especially today.
I can't stand. Yeah, but that's one of the worst elements of streaming shows. Is like I keep making fun of Haley keeps getting mad at me because I keep making fun of Stranger Things, but like they're doing an animated show that is gonna have the kids in it. I don't know if the original cast is coming back, but like it took
I
them
blame
10 years
Marvel.
to put out 5 seasons of television.
I know,
That is brutal.
I blame Marvel for all of it, but not to break up this riveting discussion. But if you enjoy discussions like that, you should most definitely check out the Spur of the Moment the Spur of the Moment podcast. I ruined it.
Yes.
Here's the commercial with its awesome bass line.
So today's episode is sponsored by the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. Come join us every Saturday. We're going to do this. We're going to sit here. We're going to talk about the news. Time to talk about the Minecraft.
Okay.
It looks
So,
bad. We're going to talk about movies. That new Joker movie is apparently terrible, and I want to see it so badly because I hear it's awful. And we're going to make some jokes. We're going to have some laughs.
There's a lot of funny jokes in there. There's a lot of weird jokes in there. The Channing Tatum one will always make me laugh. Especially when you hear the behind the scenes stuff. Like when you hear the behind the scenes story of how they just phoned them up.
We're occasionally going to have other people along for the ride.
A really fun fact, though, is I learned last year that that Coraline was Leica and not Disney.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I can see why you would make that
Yeah.
mistake. Yeah. Because it does seem like it's a different. And to be fair,
That would be a horrifying, terrible Disney movie.
it would be because yeah. And we're just gonna have a generally good time. George, do you have anything else you want to say about our podcast? Make people watch it.
We watch movies. Sometimes we watch shows. But we always have fun.
Here
On the
okay,
spur,
on the spur.
3, 2, 1. On the spur of the podcast moment.
Yeah, we nailed it. Nailed
Spur
the
of
ass
the moment podcast.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Spur of the Moment podcast every Saturday. We nailed it.
You can expect awesome content like that.
We cut flawless promos every single week.
So yes, check out the Spur of the Moment podcast, and actually, you can do them a solid.
Yes, if you all come on over and even if like some of your subscribers come over and subscribe to us to get us up to 200, I will live on air eat a serrano pepper and I will have ice cream. And if you've watched this before on my channel, I have a video where I previously ate a serrano pepper and it fucking sucks. So but I will do it. I will do it for content. And then when we get to 500, I'm gonna eat a habanero pepper, which also fucking sucks. And Jordan is gonna we're gonna get malic acid, and we're gonna put it on shit, and he's gonna eat something super sour. He's just gonna eat straight malic acid when we hit 200.
Like,
You buy it from Walmart.
Fear Factor got canceled, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Technically, twice.
Technically, but we're not gonna eat testicles though. That's off the table.
Hey, hang on. Let's not take it to the table too quick.
Okay, no, I would do it for like a significant amount of cash. I would. I
There
can
you go.
close my eyes and snipe it through anything.
You know,
But no,
it's a delicacy in some countries.
I mean, I'm sure it is. I've been told there are ways you can make it not taste gross.
Here's the thing: you would like I've had cow tongue. Um,
How tongue is good
I was gonna
if you
say
cook it properly. Yeah,
you would not think it. It's pretty good.
yeah. No, I actually have heard that. I like anything. It depends on how
It
you cook
depends on
it.
how it's prepared, yes. But
Exactly.
what kind of pepper did Robbie eat in the series? Was that a did they say what kind of pepper it was, or did they just call it like El Diablo or something like that?
I don't remember.
It's
I
implied that it's
honestly,
really, really, really spicy.
yeah, either a ghost pepper or not a Carolina Reaper because that's a freak mutant pepper that's created by a lunatic. Um, but he is smoking egg curries and lunatic. Um, but I think it might have been either ghost pepper or habanero.
I want to say it
I
was a
don't
ghost pepper, but I can't remember. But yeah,
habanero
that's
suck though. Like I've eaten one in my life and it hurts for 2 days afterwards. Like it just like it punishes your insides. Like it, yeah, it's awful.
I saw a hilarious. Uh,
Do it for content.
no, you just reminded me of a hilarious video I saw on TikTok yesterday. It was I guess they make a chocolate bar that's like super spicy,
Oh, that doesn't
and
surprise me.
well, and they
Especially with
call it.
anything these days.
I think they literally called it like a butthole burner, and then it was a guy who had one, and he was showing how like a mouse had gotten in and eaten some of it.
Oh, that poor mouse. Oh, that's
Well,
probably well. To be fair, that's a
well, but
perfect decapitation.
then it cuts to I've seen the nature documentary actually. Apparently, there's a mouse that like screams, like it sounds like a high pitched scream, and it cuts to that
Yeah.
video, but it's just a mouse going.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what it gets.
I may have laughed more than I should have.
Oh, and yeah. Well, also, when we get to 1,000, which is light years away, but yeah, Jordan has committed to doing a hot ones with me. And I'm gonna hold him to it. So that's all reason to come subscribe to us over on the Spur of the Moment. If you want to see us debase ourselves on camera and have meaningful and hilarious discussions about film. Actually, this week there's some science fiction bullshit, and Jordan's actually hosting the show this week in a change of pace. Yeah, so he's
Uh,
sitting at the chair.
you can get on there and see me occasionally, especially you can watch me tear apart the movie Noah, starring Russell Crowe.
That was very funny. Yeah,
Twas
that turned into a very actually. I believe your most recent episode, a Star Wars episode, is our highest viewed episode of the podcast.
yeah.
I
To be
believe
fair, though, I mean that's SEO because especially nerds like
it
to
was
argue about Star Wars. So
real good SEO. Yeah, no, yeah, and also just all of the content I've mined from that episode. Yes, my beef with Andor has yielded a great many subscribers. The most satisfying. I don't know about if this is the case for you, but for me, the most satisfying thing is when people subscribe off of the back of actual podcast episodes. Um, that's like, oh, like our podcast is really long and it's like 3 hours, 4 hours. So if you're sticking it out, and you're like, yeah, I want to subscribe and hang out for more of this, please. That is really gratifying. More so than the individual videos of the shorts. The shorts is like, oh, that's just cheap, easy
yeah,
SEO.
yeah, most definitely. But I guess to sort of wrap this up, as a whole, just like we said, we love. If Joshua Jackson had been in this movie more, it would have been better for it.
Well, to wrap up, here's my question for you. Me and Jordan declared this great for streaming. Would you rush out to see this in theaters?
I don't, and this is as somebody who, that's a really good question. That is a really good question, and I have to think about it for a second, but I'll be honest, this movie's just fine for streaming. There's nothing
That's what
in
we
it.
said.
There's nothing in it that, I mean, go see it in the theater if you want to.
To
It's
support
not,
theaters,
yeah,
obviously.
to support theaters, and then, I mean, but yeah, there's nothing in this movie that it's not like a Dune, right? Where it's like, oh, you have to see it in theater. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good at home, but the
It's not
theater
the
is
same.
part of the theater is part of the experience.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's not.
Like there's certain movies where it's like it's just fun to watch it with a crowd and be part of that communal experience, or the technical aspect of it is, as like you said, with Dune is a real draw. This just, I could have watched this at home.
Yeah, this
for
is
free
this
on a
is
streaming site.
this would have been a really good Netflix original.
Right? Like for me, the next thing that I'm like, oh, I'm stoked to go see this in theaters is Superman, where I'm like,
Ooh.
that feels like, or for me, I may be alone in this, but I'm still excited for Fantastic Four. I know a lot of people's excitement is wavering on that, but
I'll be honest. I think Fantastic Four is probably going to be a better movie than Superman.
well,
That's a whole nother
oh,
podcast. But
I can see why you would say it.
I have reasons. The trailer made me very well. Not the first trailer. Well, actually, you know what? I think it's a mistake to their first shot of the new Superman is him lying on the ground after he's gotten his ass kicked. I think that's a very bad.
Interesting.
That's
where we differ.
That's bad form. It's bad form for a Superman movie.
I'll come back for the Superman episode, and I respectfully disagree.
I was to say, yeah, we'll have to revisit that because that's a podcast in and of itself. But
or if you want, we're gonna do a Superman episode. If you want to do a follow up to that Batman episode, you're invited.
Yeah, just let me know when, because that's because I have thoughts, and the thing is, like most of my thoughts, they're controversial, but I have reasons, and not least of which being Nathan Fillion looking that stupid.
Okay, yeah, I have counter thoughts, but that's like you said, another podcast episode. But my short version is there are clips from this where it's James Gunn's sense of humor where it makes me cringe, where a lot of his Suicide Squad and Peacemaker make me do that. So I get it.
Yeah,
is what I will say.
Yeah, but this movie, and so going back to Karate Kid Legends, it's a good, fun family film in a time where those aren't super common. Because this is not a kids movie, but it's also it's a family it's a family picture.
Look, I didn't have a bad time. I fundamentally,
I had fun.
At the end of the day, I had fun. But to be fair, I was primed for it. And what I will say that's interesting is for Jordan, who didn't watch Cobra Kai, he had a better time than I did. Because
I can see that.
Yeah, he was removed from that, so he wasn't expecting anything from. So when William Zabka shows up at the spoiler alert shows up in what Google called a post credit scene for some reason. And me and Jordan hung out to the end of the credits expecting a post credit scene, and then when I read the Google thing, it was like, yeah, William Zabka shows up for a post credit scene. It's not a post credit scene when it's at the beginning of the credits. Not even there.
That is not. That's just the end of the movie.
Right, that meant nothing to Jordan. Jordan was like, who is that?
So actually, and this, I don't think this is a hot take. I think this actually makes the movie better. If you are, as a viewer, have not seen Cobra Kai and your last exposure to the Karate Kid franchise is the Kung Fu Kid 2010, this movie plays a lot better.
Sort of, except for like I said to Jordan when we were walking out of it, but it's sort of incoherent. If you've only ever seen the first Karate Kid and you're coming in, or even Karate Kid 2 and 3 and you've never watched Cobra Kai, you're going to be like, why is Johnny Lawrence just chilling with Daniel LaRusso? You're going to be confused.
If you were setting that, if that was your goal to set it up and you were ignoring Cobra Kai, obviously you couldn't have Johnny at the end.
Yeah.
And there are other consequences for that, which I'm glad Johnny was there, because what that is telling you, see, this is film language, boys and girls, is it is telling you that this is taking place in the same universe.
Yep.
Which I'm a fan of. And this now retroactively redeems the Kung Fu Kid, because now at least Sifu Han is part of that martial arts, because I can't call it a karate tree, because Kung Fu came first, but that martial arts tree.
Yeah.
So now at least, 15 years later, it now makes more sense.
Yep. Now it can be a Karate Kid. But yeah, Jordan says it's technically, pedantically, technically the worst Karate Kid movie because it does not feature karate. This is technically, even though I think it might be a worse movie than the Jaden Smith one, maybe
See, and
arguably.
that's kind of what's frustrating, and that's what I couldn't get Virus to understand last night. Is in a vacuum, it's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
The 2010. The only problem with it is that it's called The Karate Kid. If it had been literally named anything else, I would have given it a solid B plus.
Good movie, bad Karate Kid movie.
Exactly. That is. And Karate Kid Legends, I'd say decent movie, all right Karate Kid movie.
It's an all right Karate Kid. It's a messy Karate Kid movie, but I've never had a bad time watching a Karate Kid movie. I can
It's
honestly say
here,
that.
and this might be a hot take for lovers of the next Karate Kid. It's a better Karate Kid movie than the next Karate Kid because at least Daniel LaRusso is in it, and Miyagi. Oh, I guess Miyagi's in next Karate Kid, but Daniel is in this one. So,
He is. He is.
I mean, technically a better Karate Kid movie. Certainly, the fight sequences are significantly better.
I see. I thought the next Karate Kid was Karate Kid 3. I didn't know it was Karate Kid 4. So that probably speaks to that movie. I thought Hilary Swank was in Karate Kid 3 and her and Daniel LaRusso got together. Like I didn't realize that he wasn't in Karate. They weren't in the movie together. I had no idea. That's why I asked you that on Two Talk. I was like,
No,
wait,
they
he's
are.
not in that one?
Nope, he's not there.
Uh, Wild.
Which actually, I gotta remember. I don't even think he's mentioned.
Really?
I don't think so.
Because Cobra Kai would have you believe that post Karate Kid 3 they were never endingly involved in each other's lives.
Right? Yeah, they were like BFFs, and I think in next Karate Kid, it may or may not, or like maybe Miyagi mentions that he has a friend, but I don't think the words Daniel are. I don't think the word Daniel is in that movie. It's been a minute, so if I'm wrong, just let me know in the comments. But
Interesting. But they don't even
pretty
do
sure.
Daniel's gone off to college, so he's busy.
The one thing that I can't remember is if it's kind of implied that that's the case, but then Cobra Kai tells you that Daniel. Oh no, I guess I don't think Daniel went to college, did he?
No, Cobra Kai, from what I remember, it's been a few weeks. It seems to imply that he pretty much goes for the dealership.
Yeah,
Mr. Miyagi convinces him to open the dealership, which, by the way, took me forever to. I think I was in season 2 or 3 by the time I went, oh, he sells cars because Miyagi gave him the car, and it made me feel stupid. I was like, oh, I did make that connection. It took me way too long.
another fun fact: Ralph Macchio actually still owns that car, that yellow one.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I didn't
his
know
car.
that. Oh, that's
And no,
interesting.
and here's the thing: the one in Cobra Kai, that is the same car.
Really?
Yeah, Ralph Macchio
Really?
let him use it, and
That's crazy.
for this movie too.
Ralph Macchio, by the way, was he in like 60 something? Looking fantastic.
He's older now. When Cobra Kai started, he was older than Pat Morita was when they did the
Yeah.
original Karate Kid, which is like,
I mean, Jackie Chan also still looks phenomenal.
see, it's really
Yeah.
fun. Like, don't get me wrong, he looks good, but Jackie Chan he's starting to look aged.
I mean, yeah, oh yeah. But now it's I would love for them to do um a remake of Drunken Master and Jackie
Yes.
Chan's now the master.
No, give it, yeah, and then have Ben Wong.
Oh yes, have him be oh I forget Jackie Chan's character's name in that movie.
It's
Except for
like
don't do
it's
the
like
weird pervert
Wong
stuff.
Wong Fei something. I think I can't remember.
I can't remember. Those movies are great.
They are
The
well, and then shoot, I
I was
had a
just gonna say English as far as English dubs are concerned, it's the least jarring because Jackie Chan voices himself.
that is helpful. Um, wow, I had it, lost it, had it again, and now I lost again. Oh yeah. So I mentioned that I watched Shanghai Noon again. That movie is 25 years old, Justin.
Is it really?
It was released in 2000, so technically it's 26 years old. And I was watching it, and the first thing I thought was like, everybody looks so young, and I'm like, oh
I
yeah,
mean,
it
yeah.
was literally 25 years ago.
Oh man, I mean, oh yeah, I did that when actually the one that was funny to me was I watched the Tuxedo, and yeah, that was the one where I went, wow, that this is my favorite is like middle not middle aged Jackie, but he's not quite old Jackie yet. That's where the 2000s were. I was like, oh man, that was a long time ago. My other
It
favorite is
was.
Drunken Master Jackie Chan, where he's like rail thin. Like, whoa,
Yeah,
he's
but
young.
I just gotta say, because the whole time I watched that movie, like, first of all, if you haven't seen Shanghai Noon, it's on YouTube free with ads right now, so you can go watch it for free.
Is it actually?
It is. That's how I watched it. And here's the thing. I miss movies. Like, I miss movies from the late 90s and early 2000s because the vast majority of it is practical. And this movie is bright and colorful because they
Oh yeah.
actually shot things on real places, or at
Set.
least lots and sets, like, and
Yeah.
they lit things. And it's like the color yellow just doesn't exist in film anymore. And it's
No.
everything's all blue and black and gray and just ugh. And this movie's
Sepia
bright.
tone
Yeah.
awfulness.
Yeah, and this movie's bright and colorful, and like the sky is nice and blue, and red shows up as bright red, and like it's
To be
so
fair,
pretty.
2000 we said 2000, yeah, 2000s to the early 2000s. They also were incredibly high energy. They loved their high energy action adventure movies,
And they were fun. And this
and they were always
movie,
fun.
yeah, they were always fun. Owen Wilson is a gem in this. I mean, Owen Wilson is usually a
Oh,
gem, but
Owen Wilson is almost always a gem generally.
what's really funny though is in that movie, I don't think he says "wow."
That feels impossible.
I know now that I mention it, I think he does at one point. Wow.
Wow.
What I didn't know is that his role as Roy O'Bannon actually got him the role in The Thin Red Line.
Really?
Yeah, I read that today, and I was like, that's interesting because I can't imagine somebody watching. I can't imagine somebody watching Shanghai Noon and being like, I need that guy.
It feels like he's due for like a dramatic role where like, wow, Owen Wilson can act. Like I don't know, he just
I mean, The Thin Red Line. Like,
oh, is that his? Oh, I think I've
yeah,
never seen it.
yeah, it's good. Or was it? Hang on. I might no, it's not The Thin Red Line. It's still a serious movie. It's Behind Enemy Lines. It's not The Thin Red Line. Owen Wilson.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am
Owen
familiar with that one. I have also never seen it.
Owen. First of all, The Thin Red Line came out before Shanghai Noon, and Owen Wilson is not in it. I don't believe. I don't
See, I
believe
just
he's in
assumed it
it.
was because the Behind Enemy Lines I definitely recognize. That's on my list of war movies,
Oh,
which I
Behind
only really
Enemy
watched at
Lines
the
is
show.
it's really it's kind of like Jackie Chan in The Foreigner. Just it's really jarring to see Owen Wilson in a role where he's like actually another Owen Wilson movie that you if you've seen Behind Enemy Lines, it's not as shocking, but oh, what is that movie called? Is it no? It's not called No Way Out. Hang on, I have to look it up because it's one of those movies where it's honestly it's a great movie, but it's people cut it up. It's a good movie, but it's not a pleasant viewing experience because you're kind of stressed out the whole movie.
Yeah, I haven't been able to look at Owen Wilson the same way ever since I watched him in that movie where if you don't cry during it, you're a monster.
Oh yeah, I know the movie. It's called No Escape from 2015. Um, you get to watch Owen Wilson like kill a dude with his bare hands, and it's not hokey, it's not fake, it's not
Huh.
like it's wild. It's a wild ride. And again, like I say, it's one of those movies where I definitely recommend you watch it. But um, if you've ever been in the middle of a political coup, you may not want to watch it. Might hit a little too close to
Ooh,
home.
ooh, that feels shockingly relevant.
Yeah, no, I mean like an actual like
Oh,
not like this nonsense that's going on. I mean like an actual like military coup where they come in
oh, no
and
fair,
start killing people.
fair, no fair.
Yeah.
Like one of them South American dealios.
Well, Southeast Asia, because it's very much it basically takes the premise of the Khmer Rouge, but puts it in modern day. It's very
Hmm?
reminiscent. It's very reminiscent to the Killing Fields, but less military and more just an American trying to get him and his children and wife out.
Oh, wow.
And there's a moment that like it's fairly early in the movie, and it's not a spoiler because it'll still hit you. Is like I like this movie because it's so. I'm not going to say it's realistic, but how would I say it's not a typical what you're expecting because there's a moment where they have to jump across two buildings to get to safety, and then Owen Wilson's like taking his very young daughter and like it's okay, I'm gonna I'm just gonna talk on the count of three, one, and then he throws her. Just
I mean, yeah,
it's
the suspense is what makes you scared.
yeah, it's just like oh that's dirty, but I get why you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. And it's like I think the vast majority of the movie he has to walk with a limp because he hurts himself, I'm pretty sure, when he jumps across the building himself. So it's like it's
I
constant
love attention to
stress.
detail.
Oh, it's constant stress. And it's like by the time the movie's over, you're just like exhausted. And you're like, wow, it
I
was
was moved
good,
like
but
that.
oof. Yeah, it's not fun. There's actually only been a handful of movies like that where I say things like it's a movie that's worth watching, but legitimate trigger warning for certain people, and you're not happy when you're done watching it.
Oh, you're talking about Gravy the Fireflies.
No, but that's there. I'm actually talking about Flowers of Nanking.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Flowers of War. I'm sorry, Flowers of War. It's called Flowers of War, but it's based on the book Flowers of Nanking.
I think you've told me about this movie before, and I think I read the Wikipedia
Ooh.
article because I was curious. Nah, man.
It's here's the I will leave it. We'll give the movie a grade and then we'll get out of here. But I will leave it at this. And I've said this many times before. Don't watch it if you've ever been the victim of assault, or at least don't watch it alone. I'm not going to say don't watch it. And let yourself take breaks because you're going to want to, especially your first time. And it's one of those movies where just when you think it can't get worse, it gets way worse. And the
Yeah,
great and the worst part is this is also one of those movies where you can't think in the back of your mind, oh well, at least it's not a true story because there are elements that are fictionalized, but it's very much a true story.
it was one of those I was like, how gnarly can this be? And then I read it. I was like, oh no, yeah, I don't do that in movies.
Yeah,
It's just the one my
it's
hard line. I'm like, I can't.
but
It's
but the thing about this movie is though is it's a great film. And despite all the criticisms, which I kind of ignore, because well, Christian Bale's just a white savior. I'm like, yeah, except that it's a Chinese production.
yeah.
Like, they wanted, and actually, he's not a white savior. He's a male savior because there was an American there that different circumstances, but she played that role and protected a great number of Chinese civilians with her school, which actually I'm going to be doing. She's actually from Indianapolis, which is kind of small world weird kind of way. I'm eventually going to do a video about her, but I keep putting it off because it's gonna take time, and I need to read her biography, her autobiography, before I do it. It's not a fun experience, but I do recommend it, especially if you like history. It's hard hitting, but back to happy Chinese movies.
Yeah.
Karate Kid Legends.
Oh man.
I give it. I give it a. I'm gonna give it a. Yeah, I'd give it a B plus.
C plus to B. C plus B minus. To be fair, I don't traditionally do numbered or letter grade ratings. I do prefer a letter grade though. I do like that.
I think
But
it's a little bit
solid
looser.
B minus.
Yeah, because I mean it's fun. It's one of those things where as long as you don't, and this goes like I said for all Karate Kid movies, don't think about it too hard because they all kind of fall. They all start to fall apart if you start thinking logically.
Yeah.
It's just those movies. It's kind of like Bloodsport. My favorite element of
Yeah.
Bloodsport is that there's a secret tournament that literally everyone knows about and asks
I mean,
complete strangers, "So, are you here for the Kumite, the top secret tournament that nobody knows about?"
my favorite part about Bloodsport is the jacked Asian guy who's in multiple of those movies. He's my favorite character.
I mean, yeah, that is effectively the best part, or the really unnecessary. Like, I get the nut punch, but that's a lot of unnecessary motion. Like, I think one does the trick. I
Um,
mean, it's Luke Skywalker with fists. Like they both just kind of hit the mark when one is enough.
Fundamentally, here's my final thoughts on Karate Kid Legends. If you're entering into this expecting anything from Cobra Kai, or if you're expecting Ralph Macchio or Jackie Chan to play a big part in this, you're going to be severely disappointed. But if you enter into this being real Jones, see Joshua Jackson, learn some kung fu, you can have a pretty darn good time.
You're gonna have a rootin' tootin' good time because it was funny because I watched the Critical Drinkers review, and I'm becoming
Low
less.
expectations.
Well, I'm kind of not. I find him entertaining, but I don't trust his reviews anymore because I think he's had, and he's not the only one. I think he's had too much financial benefit of crapping on movies that now everything's garbage.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
know?
That makes you. I tend to find that about people who are overly generous with where, especially those who are like, yeah, here's a kind review of this movie I got invited to the premiere for. Where
Yeah,
it's like, I
yeah.
don't believe this is a genuine review.
I am trying to be more positive with my reviews now because I'm getting a little sick of everybody like this movie's terrible. I'm like, it's not great, but it's
I'm
not
coming.
as offensive as you're saying it is. But anyway, the reason I
Yeah,
bring that up is he was cutting up the Joshua Jackson parts, and then I'm sitting in the theater. I'm like, what are you
these are the best
talking about?
parts.
This is the best. I just want to see
I
more
saw
of
a little.
this.
I saw a lot of people cutting it up, and I was like, but that's the best part of the movie. I want more of this. What are you talking about? Yeah, yeah. I'm coming out the back of the. I was a real nostalgia critic, cinema sins guy, and I'm coming out the back of recognizing that that's bad faith criticism, and you have to be fair-minded when it comes to things, and you have to approach things like, as you say, in their context. Yes, you apply the background to it, but no, I'm not going to hold Cobra Kai over this, but it's definitely impacting how I perceive it. That's for sure.
Well, the most absurd example, and then this is when I start to get into this is a bad movie. If you have a movie where gravity doesn't exist, except for the final fight, gravity suddenly exists, then you have a bad movie because you're disobeying
Right?
the rules that you set up in your narrative.
Right. Also, like a lot of times, like intention matters. Like, oh, this is dumb, but it's meant to be, right? Or this is a franchise with Space Wizards for children. Like,
But yes, I recommend that you do watch Karate Kid Legends, but I'll leave this one up to you as to whether you see it in the theater or wait for it to come out on stream. That's your choice.
let us know in the comments what you did.
Yeah, and let us know. So we did put up a poll. Actually, you know what? I'm going to check that real quick because I put up a poll that asked people what they thought.
What did Virus think? I checked out before I got to. Did he like it?
Okay, so 75% of you loved it, and 25% of you thought it sucked. I can see that. This seems
That's
like a
good.
70. This seems like a 75% movie.
Yeah, that's about a beat. Yeah, that's about a beat.
Yeah, that's. I am not surprised by those numbers.
No, no, I'm not. No, I'm not either. I mean, that about aligns with what we said. It's a solid B. Solid B.
You know, it's not going to be valedictorian, but you know, it gets the job done.
It's gonna graduate. You know?
It will pass, but it'll do more than pass.
I haven't seen what the box office is doing, so I don't know if this has been a financially successful movie. So I don't know if
Well,
we're gonna see another one.
let's check it out real quick before we sign off here. Karate Kid Legends.
Yeah, we're out here on a Tuesday, so we actually might see some. We can actually see some box office numbers.
We should. Let's see here.
What did it go against? I don't think it was against anything.
Not really. Ooh, okay, it's made money. Wow,
Oh,
okay, I'm a little surprised. This movie only cost 45 million.
no, that doesn't surprise me.
I figured it would because they just can't help themselves, but apparently, thus far, it's made 76.2, so it's not a home run.
No, but it's a modestly budgeted movie, which that does surprise me a little bit, but also it doesn't. That's okay. It tells me that it's gonna make its money back. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
I just don't see this thing doing well. And the reason why Jaden Smith one did well because they did well in China. I don't see this happening there.
Oh, funny you should mention it. No, it didn't really. It didn't really have because it was moved to May 2025, with Craven the Hunter taking over its original release date of December 13th, 2024, to avoid conflict with the final season of Cobra Kai.
That
So
explains it. That makes a
that
lot of
makes
sense.
sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that would have benefited this because it would have made it present in people's minds. But then you would have noticed that the Cobra Kai people aren't there, I suppose. But interesting. I'm curious as to if we're going to see more of these. I would watch more of these with him, just with him though. Lose the adult cast members.
It's been characterized as a slight underperformance. Um,
Really?
mostly blaming Lilo and Stitch holding over in theaters. So it's one of
But
those
that
where
movie's
it's going to make money, but I don't think it's the resounding success they were hoping it would be.
no. It's a shame they're losing to Lilo and Stitch. That movie is not reviewing well. This is
Yeah,
reviewing much better.
I gave that one a C minus.
Yeah, my favorite was when we were doing our show and Haley was like, Jake was right, it exists. Which is just that's how I would characterize most of those movies, but I don't know.
I mean, yeah. But anyway, so like I said, enjoy Cobra Kai Legends if you want to. If not, you're not missing anything except for, again, Joshua Jackson being wholesome and awesome.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to go see it? Why wouldn't you want to at least see that? At least see it
I know I want
eventually.
to see more of it.
Watch another one.
Like I said, I hope that he's in the midst of a career resurgence because he's got to be in his late 40s now. He'd have to be late
I think
40s,
so,
early
yeah.
50s. Yeah, he does
Something
not
like
look like
that.
he's in his late 40s. Holy shit!
See, I want it with him. With this kid is good at martial arts, especially because I watched The Raid. I want to see a resurgent in martial arts movies like this, like a high concept martial arts movies where he gets to show off a bit. You throw Simu Limu in there because he looks good in an action sequence as well. Uh, yeah. I want like a second coming of because I got related to Bruce Lee movies, so like I want like a second coming of like a new
Well,
halfway decent kung fu
I got
franchise.
I got excited because as Tony Jaa was kind of fading out of the limelight, Iko Uwais, who you would know from the Raid, uh,
Oh
kind
yeah.
of
Oh,
he
he's so
initially
good.
came. He's so good, but he did an American movie, and I was very disappointed in. Oh, I was disappointed in the entire movie, but particularly his role. If you haven't seen it, his first movie is one called Marintown.
I haven't seen it now.
It's
I've only seen the Raid movies, which I fucking love. Those movies are
if
phenomenal.
you, I'll put it this way: if you like The Raid, you will love Marintown. It's a better movie.
Interesting. Yeah, I, I, I like the first Raid better than the second one, but the second one contains the Batman and Hammer Girl, and who? How can you not love a man who beats people to death with a baseball bat?
I mean, if it's you, I can see you not loving it, but I understand.
In the context of being a viewer of a movie, not in real life, that would be psychotic.
Yeah, that would be terrible. But in a movie, great. Alrighty. Well,
Yeah.
that was our deep dive into the Karate Kid Legends. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to get your Dragon Ball candles and check out the Spur of the Moment podcast and vote for Again and Forever, you cheap bastards. And
Yes,
don't know what
he
we're doing
deserves it.
next week. Yeah, don't know what we're doing next week, but we'll figure it out and we'll be here. Same bat time, same bat network. So you should subscribe so that you get that little notification when we go live.
True. Hit
Anyway,
the bell, hit the like, do all the YouTube things.
yeah, do all the YouTube things. But anyway, apes.